everything you're doing and listen closely, for in the deep silence of your own being, something of divine proportions has just unfolded. We often speak of the courts of heaven as if they were a distant place in the sky, but I tell you, the kingdom of heaven is within you, and in that high place of your consciousness where the patterns of your destiny are woven, there was a pause, a sacred, unexpected silence. It is the kind of silence that occurs when the turmoil of the senses is suddenly arrested by a conviction so strong that it commands the attention of the entire universe. That silence was caused by you. You have not arrived at this moment by accident. The bridge of incidents has been laid out with surgical precision to bring you to this realization. Every restless thought, every moment of seeking was the shepherd, your own wonderful human imagination, calling you back to this truth. You must understand that you have been under a test, not a test given by a cruel schoolmaster to see if you would fail, but the test of the furnace, designed to burn away the dross so that only the gold remains. This was the final test of your old state of consciousness. It was the test that determines whether you continue to be a slave to your senses or rise as the master of your world. And the news I bring you today is that you have passed. But it was not merely that you survived, it was how you endured the fire. When the world screamed that you were alone, when the evidence of your eyes denied your harvest, you kept walking. You may have stumbled, you may have wept, but you did not turn back to the dead past. Before we explore exactly how this victory has shifted the very foundation of your reality, I must share something vital with you. There is a map for this territory. If you feel that this knowledge is resonating with your spirit, I invite you to discover the 3 keys to a prosperous life. This is not just another book. It is a trilogy designed as a practical guide for the chosen ones to finally awaken to who they really are. It is about healing those invisible blocks that have held you back and learning how to expand with stability, to receive, sustain, and multiply your good without guilt. Whether you prefer to read the ebook or listen to the audiobook, these keys are essential for the next phase of your journey. You can find the link in the pinned comment or description below. If you feel the pull, do not ignore it. Now let us return to this divine reaction. The scripture says in Zephaniah, "The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness." Who is this Lord in your midst? It is your own I am, the fundamental reality of your being. When it says he rejoices over you with singing, it means there is a vibration of harmony now established between your desire and your belief. You see, the heavens, your mind, have been observing you, not with judgment, but with the intense expectation of a father watching a sleeping child, waiting for them to awaken to their inheritance. Think back to those nights when the darkness seemed thick enough to touch. You lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering if your prayers were simply dissolving into the void. You felt invisible. But I tell you, in the economy of God, nothing is lost. The psalmist says, "You have kept count of my tossings, put my tears in your bottle." This is not poetry, it is a psychological fact. Every ounce of emotional energy you expended, every tear that fell in secret, was energy impressed upon the subconscious mind. You thought you were suffering in vain, but you were actually building a reservoir of power. The bottle is the memory of the universe, and it holds the record of your persistence. God, your imagination, was not passive during your struggle. When you cried in the shower so no one would hear, when you smiled in public while your heart was breaking in private, the I am was witnessing it all. Why? Because the depth of the valley determines the height of the mountain. You were digging the trenches that are now about to be filled with water. If you are beginning to see that your suffering had a purpose, press the like button to anchor this truth in your mind, so it may reach others who are walking through the night. Recall a specific night, perhaps weeks or months ago, when the weight felt unbearable. You questioned everything. You asked if you should just give up and accept the world's limitations. Hold that moment in your mind. Do not fear it. Look at it. In that exact moment, when you felt most abandoned, the spiritual activity around you was at its peak. What you call angels are the personifications of God's attributes and powers. When you felt too weak to pray, the spirit of intercession, that deep, wordless groan of the subconscious, was moving on your behalf. You felt alone because you were looking outward, but within, the King was taking his seat. The reason the heavens are speechless, the reason there is this divine breathlessness, is because you did the impossible. You persisted in the assumption of your wish fulfilled even when the dragon of facts breathed fire at you. The dragon is nothing more than your past, frozen in the present circumstances. It roared, it threatened, it told you that you were small and forgotten. And yet, here you are. You did not bow. You might have trembled, but you did not bow. And because you held your ground, the outer world has no choice but to reshape itself to match your inner conviction. This is the great secret of the chosen ones. Your victory is not a public spectacle at first. It is a private coronation. The silence in heaven is the Sabbath. It is the moment when the creative act is finished and the I am rests, knowing that it is done. You are entering that rest now. The anxiety you used to feel is being replaced by a strange, calm certainty. This is God's reaction. Peace. The kind of peace that passes all understanding because it has no logical reason to exist in the face of your problems. But it exists because the war is over. You have won the battle in consciousness, and the spoils of war must now be delivered to you in the physical world. As you move forward from this moment, watch your life closely. The things that used to trigger you will lose their power. The obstacles that seemed immovable will dissolve like mist before the sun. This is not magic. It is the law. You have changed the cause, so the effect must change. If you are ready to receive the physical evidence of this internal victory, declare it in the comments. I accept my victory. Let that be your seal upon this message. Remember, the only enemy you ever faced was the limitation you accepted in your own mind. Now that you have passed the test of faith, the angels, your thoughts, your opportunities, the people you meet, are being reorganized to serve your new state. Walk in this confidence. Walk as if the applause of heaven is ringing in your ears, for indeed it is. The silence has ended, the singing has begun, and your world is about to reflect the glory of the God who lives within you. And now that you have stepped into this new state, you must understand how to inhabit it permanently. You cannot put new wine into old wineskins, nor can you wear the royal robes of your answered prayer over the rags of your old victimhood. To do so would tear the garment. You must completely abandon the identity of the one who was seeking, the one who was suffering, and fully clothe yourself in the identity of the one who has found. This transition is delicate. It requires a vigilance of mind that few possess. For the old man, the old self with all its habits, reactions, and fears, will try to knock on the door of your consciousness. He will bring you evidence of the past and say, "Look, nothing has changed." But you, having heard the silence of heaven and the singing of the choirs within, know better. You know that the evidence of the senses is merely a delayed echo. You must learn to navigate this period of gestation with absolute stability, knowing how to receive the abundance that is coming, how to sustain it so it does not slip through your fingers, and how to multiply it without the guilt that religious tradition has wrongly placed upon you. For those of you who feel the weight of this transition and wish to have a clear step-by-step map to guide you through this awakening, I invite you to explore the 3 keys to a prosperous life. This is not just a collection of words. It is a trilogy designed specifically for those who are waking up to their own power. It is a practical guide to healing the invisible blocks that sabotage your harvest, teaching you to accept your good with a clean heart. Whether you prefer to read the ebook in quiet contemplation or listen to the audiobook as you drift into sleep, this trilogy offers the structure you need to stabilize your new state. If you feel called to deepen your understanding and walk this path with a steady foot, you can find the link to The 3 Keys to a Prosperous Life in the pinned comment or description below. It is there for you when you are ready to stop seeking and start being. Now let us return to this concept of the old man knocking at the door. When the Bible speaks of spiritual warfare, it is not describing a battle in the clouds between winged beings and horned monsters. It is describing the friction between your current sensory reality and your desired imaginal state. The devil is simply the doubt that rises within you, the whisper that suggests your senses are the only reality. And the angels, they are your higher faculties, your noble thoughts, your ability to imagine what is not yet seen. When you read of Archangel Michael, do not imagine a warrior outside of yourself. Michael means, who is like God? And since God is your own wonderful human imagination, Michael is that faculty within you that challenges every fear with the question, who is like my imagination? When a bill comes that you cannot pay, or a diagnosis that frightens you, the dragon of the senses roars. But the Michael within you rises and asks, is this fact stronger than my assumption? Who is like God? Is this condition final, or is my I am final? By refusing to bow to the external fact, you are wielding the sword of Michael. You are cutting off the head of the dragon, which is simply withdrawing your attention from the problem. You see, attention is the lifeblood of your world. Whatever you attend to, you feed. If you attend to the injustice of your situation, you are pouring your own life force into that injustice, keeping it alive, fattening it up. To turn your back on the sensory evidence and focus entirely on the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the act of a true warrior. It is the spiritual battle. And when you win this battle in the silence of your bedroom, you have summoned the legions of heaven. If this perspective on spiritual warfare shifts something in your understanding, express it by liking this video, so this truth can find its way to others fighting the same invisible war. Consider the armor of God, often spoken of in your circles. You have been told to put on the breastplate of righteousness and the helmet of salvation. But let us decode this into practical, psychological truth. Righteousness is not moral behavior or following a set of rules. In the original language, it implies right thinking or being in a right relationship with your aim. To be righteous is to be conscious of being the person you want to be. The breastplate protects the heart, the center of feeling. So the breastplate of righteousness is the protection of your feeling state. You guard your heart by refusing to react to insults, to lack, or to fear. You maintain the feeling of, I am wealthy, I am healthy, or I am loved, regardless of what the day brings. This is your protection and the helmet of salvation. Salvation is not a future rescue, it is a present deliverance from a limitation. The helmet protects the head, the mind. To wear the helmet of salvation is to discipline your mind to think only from the end. It is to practice what I call mental diet. You would not eat food from a garbage can, yet how often do you let your mind feast on the garbage of the news, the gossip of the workplace, or the replay of past arguments? To wear the helmet is to filter every thought. If a thought does not align with your wish fulfilled, you do not let it enter. You cast it down. You become a gatekeeper of your own temple. This brings us to a profound mystery that the chosen ones often grapple with, the mystery of the bridge of incidents. You have assumed the state. You have felt the reality of it. You have entered the Sabbath, and yet the next day, something goes wrong. Perhaps you lose your job. Perhaps a relationship ends abruptly. The uninitiated would say, the law failed me. But you, who are awakening, must see with different eyes. This is not failure. This is the bridge being built. Sometimes, for the new structure to be erected, the old structure must be demolished. If you have assumed a state of great wealth, do not be surprised if the job that paid you pennies is taken away. The universe, which is your larger self, is rearranging the furniture of your life to accommodate the new guest you have invited in. Do not judge the bridge while you are walking on it. The bridge of incidents is often chaotic to the logical mind. It is a series of events that seem accidental or even unfortunate, but they are leading you relentlessly to the fulfillment of your assumption. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to the end. The how is not your business. The how belongs to the depth of your own being, the Father within, who knows 1,000 ways to bring about a result where you know only one. If you can trust this process, if you can stand amidst the rubble of the old life and smile because you see the palace being built, then you have truly passed the test. Share in the comments if you are currently walking a bridge of incidents. Simply write, "I trust the bridge," to solidify your commitment to seeing it through. Let us speak of the messenger angels, often called Gabriel. In the symbolism of the soul, Gabriel is the bringer of good news. But psychologically, Gabriel is that sudden, inexplicable feeling of joy or relief that washes over you when you are not even thinking about your desire. It is a pregnant moment. It is the Annunciation. It is your imagination telling you, it is done. When this feeling comes, do not analyze it. Do not ask, why am I happy when nothing has changed outside? That happiness is the change. Accept it. Embrace it. It is the conception of the child. You are now spiritually pregnant with your desire. And just like a physical pregnancy, there is an appointed hour. This is where many of you stumble. You plant the seed, and then you dig it up every few hours to see if it has roots. You worry, you fret, you ask, when? But if you were truly confident that the seed was good and the soil was fertile, you would leave it alone. You would go about your business, knowing the harvest is inevitable. This waiting period is not empty time. It is a time of fullness. It is a time to prepare your house for the guest. If you have assumed a new job, do not spend your days complaining about the old one. Spend your days preparing your mind for the new responsibilities. If you have assumed a relationship, do not spend your nights crying in loneliness. Spend them cultivating the love you wish to share. This preparation is an act of faith. It is the oil in the lamps of the wise virgins. You keep your lamp trimmed and burning by maintaining the mood of the wish fulfilled. If you let the mood die, the lamp goes out. And when the bridegroom, the physical manifestation, arrives, you are not ready to receive him. You must keep the light of your assumption burning through the night of the senses. There is a technique I wish for you to test tonight, one that specifically addresses the accuser that lives in your mind, that voice that lists your past failures and tells you that you are not worthy of the promise. We call this revision. It is the most practical method of changing the past. You see, the past is not a fixed museum of rocks and fossils. The past is memory, and memory is imaginal. It is alive. As long as you carry a memory of failure, shame, or betrayal, and you replay it with feeling, you are keeping that energy alive in your present. You are infecting your future with the virus of the past. Here is what you must do. At the end of the day, before you sleep, review the events of the day. If there was a conversation that went poorly, if there was a letter that brought bad news, if you reacted with anger or fear, do not accept these facts as final. In your imagination, rewrite the scene. Hear the words you wish you had heard. See the smile on the face of the person who frowned. Feel the handshake of agreement instead of the dismissal. Replay this revised scene over and over until it takes on the tones of reality, until it feels like that is what actually happened. What are you doing when you do this? You are changing the spiritual cause. You are pruning the vine of your life. By changing the memory, you neutralize its poison. You release the energy that was trapped in that trauma and make it available for your future. The accuser is silenced because the evidence has been altered. You are forgiven because you have forgiven yourself by changing the record. This is the true meaning of the forgiveness of sins. It is not a judge letting you off the hook. It is you realizing that you have the power to wipe the slate clean. If you are willing to try this tonight, to prune the unlovely branches from your day, you will wake up tomorrow lighter, freer, and ready to encounter a new world. And as you practice this, you will notice something peculiar about the people around you. They will begin to change. This is the mystery of everyone is you pushed out. The chosen ones often feel targeted by others, as if people are uniquely hostile or misunderstanding towards them. But I tell you, there is no other in the way you think. The world is a mirror. The people in your life are messengers, constantly telling you who you are. If they are hostile, they are reflecting a conflict within you. If they are loving, they are reflecting your own self-acceptance. Do not fight the mirror. It is useless to try to change the expression on the face in the glass by manipulating the glass. You must change your own face. If someone is difficult, ask yourself, what aspect of me is this person playing out? What conversation am I holding with them in my mind? You will often find that you have been arguing with them mentally for days. You have been assuming they are difficult, and they, poor actors that they are, have no choice but to play the part you wrote for them. Release them. Change the script. See them as lovely, as helpful, as kind. Speak to them in your mind with love. And watch, truly watch how they shift. They may not even know why they are changing towards you, but they must. They are under the compulsion of your command. This is why you must not judge by appearances. The dragon of a difficult boss or a stubborn family member is only a shadow cast by your own state of mind. Shift the light, and the shadow moves. You are the operant power. There is no one to change but self. This is a hard pill to swallow for those who love to blame, but for you, the chosen, it is the key to absolute liberty. It means you are never a victim of circumstances. You are only ever a victim of your own uncontrolled imagination. And since you can control your imagination, you can cease to be a victim this very instant. Consider the story of Daniel in the lion's den. Daniel did not fight the lions. He turned his back on them and looked towards the light of his God. He focused his attention on the safety and peace of the divine presence. And the lions, their mouths were shut. They could not devour him because he did not give them the food of his fear. Your problems are the lions. They roar to get your attention. They want you to feed them with your anxiety, your worry, your adrenaline. If you starve them of your attention, if you turn your back and focus on the solution, they will lose their power. They will become harmless. They may still be there for a moment physically, but they cannot hurt you. And eventually, having no life force to sustain them, they will fade away. This level of discipline requires a new relationship with time. You live in a world that worships speed. Everything must be instant, but the soul moves at the speed of nature, not the speed of machines. There is a rhythm to creation. There is a time to sow and a time to reap. The silence in heaven we spoke of earlier is the interval between the seed and the fruit. Do not let the silence frighten you. It is not an absence of activity, it is the presence of gestation. When the ground is silent after the farmer plants, it is because the seed is breaking open in the dark. It is doing its most important work. So, if your prayer seems unanswered, if the silence stretches on, do not despair. Do not dig up the seed. Water it with thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the most powerful state you can occupy because it implies that you have already received. You do not say thank you for something you hope to get. You say thank you for what is already in your hand. Walking in the feeling of gratitude is the ultimate act of faith. It signals to your subconscious and to the entire universe that the transaction is complete. Thank you, Father, is the spell that breaks the illusion of lack. As you walk this path, you will find that your desires change. The things you thought you wanted, to impress others, to gain power over them, to prove them wrong, will fall away. You will begin to desire things that are noble, lovely, and of good report. This is the purification of the vessel. The chosen one is not chosen for ego. He is chosen for service. But the service is not labor. The service is to be a light. You serve the world best by becoming the ideal version of yourself. When you rise, you lift the world with you. You cannot help the poor by being one of them. You help them by demonstrating that poverty is a state of mind that can be transcended. You cannot help the sick by becoming sick. You help them by demonstrating health. Your victory, therefore, is not just for you. It is a testimony. It is a beacon. When you stand in your harvest, fully clothed in your new state, you become a living proof of the law. People will look at you and ask, how? And you will tell them, not of a God far away, but of the proximity of their own imagination. You will tell them that the kingdom is within. But let us be practical about the how for the days ahead. You need a routine, not a ritual of superstition, but a rhythm of consciousness. Start your day by setting the tone. Before you get out of bed, while you are still in that drowsy state akin to sleep, the state we call SATS, state akin to sleep, imagine the end of the day. See yourself returning to bed, feeling satisfied, feeling that everything went perfectly. Pre-play the day, determine the mood. If you have a meeting, hear the voice of the other person congratulating you. If you have a bill to pay, see the receipt stamped paid. So do not step into the day blindly. Send your imagination ahead of you to straighten the crooked paths. And throughout the day, practice what I call inner conversations. We are always talking to ourselves. I'm tired. This is hard. He doesn't like me. These inner conversations are the breeding ground of your future. Stop them. Listen to what you are saying. If you hear yourself arguing or complaining, stop. Rewrite the line. Say, no, that is the old man speaking. And then consciously speak the new truth. I am full of energy. Things are working out for me. I am favored. It may feel mechanical at first, but persist. You are training a wild animal. The mind is a creature of habit, and it will eventually yield to the master. If you find yourself overwhelmed by the sensory world, if the dragon breathes fire and you feel your faith wavering, remember this. You are allowed to start over at any moment. You do not have to wait for tomorrow. You can stop right now, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and revise the last hour. You can reset the state. The gates of heaven are never locked. The only thing that keeps you out is your own belief that you are unworthy or that it is too late. It is never too late. The I am is outside of time. There is a specific feeling associated with the wish fulfilled that you must learn to recognize. It is not excitement. Excitement implies that the thing is new, surprising, or distant. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is naturalness. It feels normal. It feels like relief. When you finally get the money you need, you don't run around screaming for weeks. You feel a deep exhale. You feel secure. You feel like, of course it's here. That is the feeling you are aiming for in your imagination. You want to reduce the miracle to naturalness. You want to make it so natural that you would be surprised if it didn't happen. This is why we say you must die to your old self. You cannot be the person who wants and the person who has. They are two different states of consciousness. To become the person who has, the person who wants must cease to exist. You must give up the longing. Longing is a confession of lack. You must exchange longing for occupancy. Occupy the state. Walk around in it. View the world from it, not of it. Think of it like buying a new house. Before you move in, you visit it. You imagine where the furniture goes. But the day comes when you sleep there. You are no longer visiting, you are dwelling. Many of you are frequent visitors to the state of your wish fulfilled, but you are not dwellers. You visit during your meditation, but then you pack your bags and go back to the shack of your limitations. You must move in. You must take up residence. Let the new state be your home, and the old state be a place you once knew but no longer visit. As you dwell in this new state, you will encounter the watchers mentioned in Scripture. These are not spies in the sky. They are the depths of your own consciousness observing your fidelity. Are you faithful to the vision in the dark? Are you faithful when the world mocks you? The watchers are recording your inner acts, and when the record is complete, when the naturalness is achieved, the decree goes forth from the watcher to the world. Give it to him, and then no power on earth can stop it. You may ask, how do I know if I have reached the Sabbath? How do I know if I have done enough? You will know by your reaction to the world. When you think of your desire, do you feel an ache of absence, or do you feel the warmth of possession? Do you feel anxious to make it happen, or do you feel a quiet confidence that it is done? The Sabbath is not a day of the week. It is a mood of rest. It is the deep, inner knowing that the seed is planted and the harvest is sure. When you no longer feel the urge to force things, when you no longer feel the need to check for signs, you have entered the rest. And in that rest, God works. So tonight, as you lay your head down, remember who you are. You are not a tiny body fighting a giant world. You are the giant, the sleeping giant of imagination, dreaming a world into being. The angels are your servants. The seasons are your timing. The people are your reflections. Rise to the dignity of this calling. Do not beg, do not bargain, appropriate, assume. Dare to walk as if